Alrighty, this is a video on slope-intercept form. It is another way to graph. It uses the form y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept, which we talked about in the other video. Your y-intercept is found when your x is 0, and then the y number would be your b. Okay. Now, we will talk about slope in a minute, but first we're going to go ahead and graph one of these. So if I have y equals 2x plus 4, okay? This tells me my slope is 2, and my y-intercept is 4. So you're always going to start right here. We're going to put 0, 4 on our graph. So 0 in the x direction, 1, 2, 3, 4. So right there is 0, 4. That's where we're going to start. Now, from that, we're going to use our slope. We could put a 1 under this because we're looking for a fraction, okay? And what this tells us is this is rise over run, okay? So for slope, it's known as rise over run. So we're going to rise 2, and we're going to run 1. Okay, so what that means is I'm going to rise 2, and I'm going to run 1, and that gives me my next point. I'm going to rise 2, and I'm going to run 1. Gives me my next point. I can also go the opposite direction, so I can rise -2 and run 1. -1, okay? So I could also say that my slope was -2 over -1, right? Because that means exactly the same thing as +2 over +1. I've got more than 2 points. 2 points make a line. 3, I can make sure it's straight. This is when graph paper becomes very handy because if you're not real careful, your line might start being squiggly here. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you how to find the slope if you're given 2 points. So if you're given a point such as 3, -4, and -1, 6, okay? You have 2 points. You need to find the slope so that you can tell that to me. So slope is rise over run. But if you're rising, that's an up and down motion, right? So if it's an up and down motion, is that your x or your y? It's going to be your y, so you're changing y. Now your run is going this way, and is that y or x? Right, that's your x. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take either y, doesn't matter. So I'm going to start here, -4, that's a y. It pairs with 3, so I'm going to put it right underneath. They have to go together. This is one ordered pair, and they have to be lined up, okay? Now, change, this word is change, always means subtraction. Okay, so we're going to put a subtraction. And now we're going to use the other ones. Let me see if I can find another color. So I'm going to put my y, and I need some new markers. I'm going to put my y up here, and I'm going to put my x right underneath because this is an ordered pair, and we can't split them up. Now we're going to solve this. So 4 minus 6 is -10. Negative is a positive, so 3 plus 1 is 4, but this is a fraction and this can be reduced. Okay, so these numbers are both even, so I can reduce by 2. That gives me negative 5 over 2. So I'm going to have a rise of negative 5 and a run of 2. Okay, so let's sketch this. I'm going to use just this point here. So when my x was 3, I had negative 4, so it looks like it's about there. Okay, now we're going to rise negative 5. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. You can see why I probably want graph paper here. And I'm going to run positive 2. 1, 2. So it looks like about there. It's not real great, not very accurate. This is when you definitely want to have your graph paper. But it looks like about like this, which means, let's check it, if my, well, that one didn't work very well. All right, so this is pretty bad, but you get the idea. You definitely want graph paper, okay, and this is why. Okay, but we had the point 3, negative 4. We rose negative 5, so we went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we ran positive 2. Okay. Let's look at one more. Let's see if we can graph this. Let's do, looking for a good one here. Let's do, okay, let's do x plus 3y equals 9. Now, this is in standard form. It's not in slope-intercept form. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to solve for our y. So let's do that first. We're going to bring the x over. Okay. When we do that, we get 3y equals negative x plus 9. We're going to divide both sides, or all pieces, by that 3. That tells me y equals. Now remember, there is a 1 in there. So negative 1/3 x plus 9 divided by 3, which is 3. Okay. My slope is this negative 1/3. My y-intercept is 3, which gives me the point 0, 3, which I'm going to start at. So I'm going to start at 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now I'm going to rise negative 1, and I'm going to run 1, 2, 3. And I can keep doing that. I'm going to rise negative 1 and run 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now when I do that, I get this line. Okay. Now, this line, if you were hiking it, are you going up the hill or down the hill? Right, we're headed downhill. Whenever you head downhill, that means you have a negative slope. Okay, so if your slope has a negative with the x term, then you know you should have a line that goes down. Okay.